Hurder is a Broadway veteran with 20 years under her belt, dazzling audiences in shows like Chicago and Moulin Rouge, which earned her a Tony nomination. Now she's starring in Smash, a stage adaptation of the Emmy-winning Steven Spielberg-produced 2012 TV drama of the same name, which took viewers behind the scenes of creating a Broadway musical about Marilyn Monroe. Here to talk about Smash on Broadway, please welcome its leading lady, Robyn Hurder. Welcome. We'll take that all in.
Oh, thank you.
Now, you have Marilyn Monroe vibes just in meeting you, but in Smash, you play Ivy, who's preparing to play Marilyn Monroe. Now, this role checks off lifelong dreams of yours because you always dreamt of this. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I feel like once I discovered who Marilyn Monroe was when I was a young teenager, I idolized her. I loved her vibe. I just kind of applied her in my everyday life. Once I started working professionally, every single role that I've done, which, you know, kind of was always the blonde, sassy one, let's say, a little typecast. So I've always had a piece of her in every piece of work that I've done.
You have such an extensive resume, but you say this is the hardest role of your career.
Oh, yeah.
So how do you prepare each night?
It's a lot. It's funny. I've been known to never do a warm-up. I just literally like pop a squat, kick a leg, and go on stage. This show is so incredibly different. I have to get to the theater 2 hours beforehand.
You were saying that before we started.
Yeah, I have to start with like a 20-minute vocal warm-up. I do a 25-minute dance cardio workout by my friend Amanda Klutz.
Oh!
We've been friends for almost 20 years, so her dance cardio warm-ups are actually perfect for warming up for a high, intense dance show. And then it's doing my makeup, it's getting the wig on, it's stretching out, it's getting into the costume, and then going on stage and doing it. It takes so much prep. And I also have to run the opening number by myself in my dressing room just to get it out once, because it is the hardest number of the show. So I do that on my own in my room.
That's like all before you ever take the stage. That's like an iceberg.
It really is, yeah.
Now, this role seems to have been written for you, and I believe that you have a tattoo to prove it. Can you tell us the story behind this tattoo?
I was auditioning for Moulin Rouge the musical, and I got to do a one-week reading. Where you just sit at a table and you read through the script. And I found out after that reading, which I thought I did an okay job, I found out I did not get the offer to do the next stage of the production, which is a workshop. And I was very upset. I mean, my world turned upside down. I said, I've been wanting to be Nini for so many years on Broadway. This is incorrect universe. I was like,
you got this one wrong.
I was like, I did. I was like, you're wrong. You need to fix it. And I happened to be doing Chicago the musical at that time, and there was one day where we were doing this commercial shoot, and you know, I was all glammed up, and my husband was like, you know what, let's go out on a date. And we had a big long date in the city. We were in the village at like 3 in the morning, and I saw a tattoo parlor, and I'm like, I'm gonna go get a tattoo, and I'm gonna get stars.
Great decisions are made at 3 a.m. after a dinner.
Obviously. And so I went into the parlor, and I told Clyde, I said, I want to get some stars to remind myself that don't let anybody ever take away your sparkle, and that one day I will be a star. And I was just telling the story to Caroline, who plays Karen in the show. We were in rehearsals, and I was telling her the story, and as I got to the part where I sat down and I was I getting my tattoo, I said, wait a minute, hold on, I need to get my phone, I need to show you this. And I pulled out my phone, and I realized that day I looked exactly like Marilyn Monroe. I wore a naked little dress, my hair was done, and I'm just sitting in this chair. It's just amazing. That was 7 years ago, and it was already manifesting right now. It was like the universe to show me. It's like, see, girl, look. You didn't even know it was coming.
I love that.
Yeah.
What a full circle moment. Now, in addition to being a Broadway sensation, you also dabble in mixology. So I hear that for every production you're in, you set up a bar backstage named after whatever character you're playing. I love this tradition, but how did it come about, and what's your latest bar called?
Okay. it really took off when I was doing Nini and Moulin Rouge. It was my first ever solo dressing room on Broadway.
Wow.
And it was a little closet, but I loved it, and I said, I want to make it a speakeasy. And I hung up these Edison bulbs, I had a Victrola on the window shelf, and all this crystal glasses and decanters and stuff.
Wow.
And I just kind of called it Barnini, and it just took off. I mean, we even took it out of the theater. This was right before the pandemic. We had this like underground, I hosted an underground mixer with all the Broadway shows. And you had to have a password to get in, and it was very sexy, it was a vibe.
Very Prohibition.
It was very Prohibition. And from then on, when I went into A Beautiful Noise, my character's name was Marcia, so we called it Barsha. And that was a hoot. And for this one, everyone's been asking me, is it Bar Ivy? Is it Marilyn? Is it, all this stuff? And this one is actually called Norma J's.
I love that.
Take it
Is
back
that
to the
also
beginning.
the password, just so we know?
It could be. I don't think I've figured one out yet.
I'm going to work on that one. But you and your husband, Clyde Alves, are both Broadway performers. And your son, Hudson, seems to be following in your footsteps. You guys have posted a video of him finding out that he got the lead role in a production of the SpongeBob musical. Let's take a look.
Oh my God, you're going to make... Okay, open it up.
SpongeBob.
Yes!
No! Yes, my baby boy! I'm so happy for you, sweetheart!
We're gonna both go down. Oh my God.
My sweet boy.
That is the...
It's a lot. He's so
We're
cute.
both going down.
It's so real.
What does that mean to you, though? Like, I can feel that.
It's just, we had nothing to do with that. Both Clyde and I, yes, this is our livelihood, this is what we do, but we've never ever told Hudson, you need to take a dance class or you need to do this or
No.
that. I'm like, you find your way, boo. And he is still, he's gonna be a professional soccer player. That's what he says.
Of course he is.
But he wanted to audition for the drama club. He wanted to work on the SpongeBob material all on his own. That's what he wanted. And I was like, well, we're here to help.
Yeah.
So, and he worked really hard and committed himself, and he got it, and he was really, really wonderful. For a kid who has not taken any class in performing arts, he's just a natural little, spirit. He's just wonderful.
Well, and also to see the innocence of a 10-year-old boy, because eventually society pounds out, like, don't celebrate, don't cheer. To see him, like, throwing that note up, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, and we encourage that. I'm like, you should revel in your triumphs.
Yeah,
There's nothing wrong.
You worked hard.
Exactly.
But you also haven't shied away from sharing life's unexpected challenges on social media either. In 2022, you opened up about having had a miscarriage. Why did you decide to share that?
I'm a very outspoken person.
I had not noticed.
I'm very transparent, authentic, unapologetically myself, and it's kind of what I preach on social media. And I realized after, it was very traumatic because I was going to leave Moulin Rouge because I was pregnant, and it was a whole big surprise. When everything kind of happened so quickly and I was out of a job and I was going through this, it was about a month later after I left, I was talking to Clyde and I said, I just don't feel right that I feel like I'm being silenced.
Yeah.
And everyone kind of thought I left because the role was beating my body up too much, and it wasn't the case. And I also know, like, every single one of my best friends has gone through this.
Yeah.
This is such a common thing for women to go through. And it was really bothering me that I felt like I was being silenced by it, and I didn't like that I was feeling the stigma around the word. And I was like, you know what? I'm always about helping people and making a connection and being human and just helping in general. And I said, maybe I could help maybe just one person feel a little bit better who's gone through something like this, because so many women have.
Yeah.
And the response was, it was one of the best things I have ever done with social media. The connections I made with women all across the world, women who are like, thank you so much. I now had the strength to tell my mom that I haven't told in 7 years. It's like the fact that women, we're still feeling like we can't talk about this, it just breaks my heart. So if I can open up that door to let women speak freely about these experiences because they're not alone.
Yeah.
And I feel like often we are put in this box that we should feel alone, and it's not the case.
Well, and you're not alone. I often find when you share something like that, you get so much more than you put out. It's like a boomerang that comes back tenfold because people say, I see you, I get it.
And it really helped me with the healing process. I thought, I'm a tough cookie, but going through something like that, you realize, it's grief, and it's an ocean, and there are waves, and they come crashing down, and then you're okay, and then one day it hits you, and, having that kind of community, it really, really helps with the healing process.
I really like you, Robyn.
I really like you.
This could go on forever. A big thank you to Robyn Hurder. You can catch Smash on Broadway now at the Imperial Theater. Have a great day.
Thank you.